Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, classmate. Our topic for today is all about the core principle of ICS. Before we start, let us define first what is the Incident Command System. ICS ay isang sistema ng pamumuno at koordinasyon na ginagamit sa pagtugon sa mga emergency, incident o krisis. The ICS is built on 5 foundational principles, each addressing a specific failure mode that has now historically caused crisis response to breakdown. Ang ICS ay mayroong 5 prinsipal. Layunin nito na maiwasan ang pagkakamali sa pagtugon ng isang insidente para magkaroon ng mas malinaw na komunikasyon, mas maayos na organisasyon at isang pamumuno para hindi magkaroon ng gulo ang operasyon ng iba't ibang ahensya na maaring mag-respond sa isang insidente. Understanding this principle is essential for any criminology student who will one day operate within an ICS structure. Ano nga ba ang kahalagan naman nito sa mga criminology student na gaya natin? Mahalaga ito dahil it serves as a guide in coordination and command structure. Kapag nasa aktual na tayo ng operasyon, alam natin kung ano nga ba yung mga dapat nating gawin para maiwasan ang pagkakaroon ng failed operation if ever. Next is the principle 1, or what you call the unity of command. Every responder reports to only one supervisor at any given time. No individual receive instruction from more than one person during the incident response. Dito naman, isang tao lang ang nagbibigay ng direktang utos para mas maging malinaw ang chain of command. Dahil kapag maraming utos, nagkakaroon ng conflict at hindi nagiging effective ang pagresponde sa mga insidente. Why this principle exists? In multi-agency crisis responses, personnel from BFP, PNP, AFP, DOH, and DSWD may all be operating on the same scene simultaneously. Without unity of command, an officer might receive conflicting orders from multiple supervisors, creating confusion, hesitation, and potentially fatal mistake. Sa panahon ngayon ng mga krisis, sakuna, insidente, maraming ahensya ng gobyerno ang nagtutulungan sa pagresponde ng mga insidente. Ngunit kung wala sila sa iisang linya ng pamumuno, maraming makatatanggap na officer ng magkakasalungat na utos or desisyon mula sa iba't ibang supervisors. Kaya sa pamamagitan ng unity of command, malinaw sa atin kung sino lamang ang dapat sundin para mas mapabilis ang aksyon, may koordinasyon ang bawat isa at ligtas ang lahat ng mga sangkot sa operation if ever. Sa pamamagitan ng unity of command, sila ang nagsisiguro na lahat ng ahensya ng gobyerno ay mayroong isang one direction sa pamumuno. Bawat agency like PNP, AFP, BFP, DOH, and DSWD ay may sari-sariling expertise and responsibility. Pero lahat ng aksyon o hakbang sa plano na isasagawa nila ay ang incident commander lamang ang may kakayahang magdikta kung sino nga ba ang kikilos sa kanila. What unity of command prevent? Conflicting orders from supervisors. Ito yung number 1 na mapre-prevent natin ang magkakasalungat na utos mula sa iba't ibang pinuno. Dahil isa lamang ang supervisor na nagbibigay ng direksyon, hindi nagkakaroon ng magkakaibang utos or conflict na nagbibigay ng kalituhan sa mga officers. Next is the duplication of effort. 2 units doing the same task while another critical task is neglected. Dito naman, maiwasan natin ang pag-uulit ng mga gawain. Dito dapat mas maging organized ang pagkakahati ng kanilang trabaho, na ibibigay dapat ang kanilang task and responsibility ng tama para walang masayang na oras at effort. Pangatlo, confusion about authority, who is actual in charge here. Dito maiwasan naman natin ang kalituhan sa authority. Malinaw dito kung sino nga ba ang may power and responsibility, kaya hindi nagkakaroon ng tanong kung sino nga ba ang dapat sundin sa kanila. And lastly is accountability gaps when something goes wrong. No one is clearly responsible. Kakulangan sa pananagutan dahil may isang supervisor na responsable, malinaw sa atin kung sino nga ba ang mananagot kapag nagkaroon ng pagkakamali o problema sa isang insidente sa pagresponde.
What Unity Command enables? First is clear lines of authority and accountability. Yung clear lines of authority and accountability, yung ibig sabihin nun, kung sino yung may kapangyarihan na gumawa ng desisyon, yun yung authority. Tapos yung kung sino yung responsible sa may mga resulta ng action na nagagawin. Tapos kung sino yung pagre-reportan mo, tas kung kanino ka kukuha ng orders. Tapos yung isa pa, yung authority, yung the right to give instruction or to make decision. Yung ibig sabihin nun, yung may kakayahang magbigay ng instruction, gumawa ng decision. Tapos yung accountability, yung pagiging responsable sa kalalabasan nun. Yung parang example nun is yung isang manager. Siya yung may authority na magbigay ng mga task, ganun, magbigay ng mga trabaho. Tapos yung employee yung maging accountable dun sa may task na gagawin nila pag natapos nila yung task nila. Pero yung manager, pwede rin siya maging accountable pwede rin siya maging accountable sa mas nakakataas sa kanya. Pag yung sa may team niya o sa may mga tauhan niya, may pagkakamali, ganun. Basta may team performance. Next is consistent coordinated action across all responding units. Yung ibig sabihin naman yun, yung lahat ng agency na magkakaiba na nagtutulungan sa isang operation. Kunwari, bumbero, police, tapos rescue team. Yung nagtutulungan sila sa isang operation na yung operation na yun is coordinated sila on merong tinatawag na unity. So yung trabaho nila iba-iba pero meron silang unity, tapos magkaka-coordinated yung ginagawa nila. Yung bawat isa sa kanila, alam nila kung ano yung gagawin nila, ganun. Yung action nila is naka-synchronize, ganun. Tas para maiwasan din yung paulit-ulit na trabaho. Kunwari, example, nagkaroon ng isang sunog. Yung mga pulis, sila yung magmamanage ng traffic. Yung mga bumbero, sila yung magpapatay ng apoy. Tapos yung mga rescue team, sila yung maggagamot pag mayroong na-injure, ganun. Yung mga agents na yun, meron silang magkakaibang function pero nagtutulungan sila. Yun yung ibig sabihin ng consistent coordinated action across all responding unit. Next is faster decision making of officers know exactly who to report on who to get orders from. So dyan naman, ang sinasabi dyan, dapat daw ang isang officer ang mabilis siya magdesisyon, yung hindi siya nagdadalawang isip, tapos alam niya rin kung kanino siya magre-report tapos kukuha ng orders. Kasi pag sa may mga, kunwari isang emergency response, yung military, police, or mga disaster operation, yung mga yon minsan nagtatrabaho sila ng sabay-sabay, sa isang operation. Tapos pag may isang officer doon na hindi niya alam kung kanino siya magre-report or kung kanino siya kukuha ng orders, magkakaroon ng confusion, ay madedelay yung mga trabaho, ganun, magkakagulo. Pero pagka ang isang officer, alam niya kung sino yung supervisor niya, kung kanino siya kukuha ng report. Syempre mabilis siya magdesisyon, kilala niya yung pagkukuha na niya ng orders. Yung decision niya is yun, hindi madedelay kasi alam niya kung sino yung sasabihan niya, ganun, 'di ba? For example, isang rescue officer, may na-discover siyang may nakita siyang injured na victim. Yung officer na yon, ire-report na yon yung situation na yun sa may team leader nila. Tapos yung team leader nila, i-inform naman yung operation commander. Tapos yung commander naman, siya yung magde-decide ng mabilis para mag-send ng mga medical team para ma-rescue yung injured na yun. Dahil alam ng officer kung kanino siya magre-report, matutulungan nila yung na-injury na yun, di ba? So next is reduce friction between agencies operating in the same scene. So dyan naman, ang sinasabi dyan, bawasan daw yung pagkakaroon, kunwari may operation kayo, bawasan daw ang pagkakaroon ng misunderstandings, conflict, confusion sa may ibang organization na kasama nyo nagtatrabaho doon. Minsan kasi nagkakaroon ng miscommunication pagka magkakasama kayo nagtatrabaho, ganun, hindi may iwasan yun. Tas yung pagka nagkakaroon ng friction, doon na nagkakagulo. Syempre hindi kayo nagkakaintindihan. Ayun, magkakainitan na ng ulo, hindi nyo na magagawa ng maayos yung trabaho nyo. So, nagkakaroon ng Ba't ba nagkakaroon ng friction? Nagkakaroon ng friction minsan kapag yung mga team leader nyo, hindi sila nagko-communicate ng maayos, ganun. Tapos yung multiple team leaders nagbibigay sila ng mga iba-ibang instruction, ganun, na nagkakaroon ng conflict. Kunwari, example, sa isang aksidente, yung mga pulis, nakapokus sila sa may crowd tapos sa may traffic. Tapos yung mga yung mga bumbero naman, na-control sila sa may hazards. Tapos yung medical team, tawag doon, sila yung naggagamot ng mga injuries. Tapos, pagka merong isang agency doon na hindi nakipag-coordinate, yung magkakagulo-gulo na yun, di ba? Kunwari, ang gusto ni fire ng mga bumbero, sila yung mag-control ng traffic, ganun, di ba? Trabaho ng pulis yun. Pero pagka coordinated naman sila, maayos yung trabaho nila. Yung mga agency na yun, maintindihan nila yung mga gagawin nila, ganun, yung mga role nila doon, para madali mapatapos yung trabaho. Ito pala, example, during the 2013 Zamboanga City Siege, the absence of clear unified command in the early hours contributed to coordination failures between PNP and AFP units. The subsequent establishment of a unified command structure with clear lines of authority significantly improved and effectiveness of response. Next example is yung student scenario. You are a PNP officer deployed to a terrorist bombing scene. Your PNP superior tells you to secure the northern perimeter. An AFP colonel on the scene tells you to move to southern sector. What do you do under unity of command? You follow only your designated supervisor. In the ICS structure, and your supervisor is responsible for coordinating with the colonel through the proper ICS channel. So ito yon yung clear lines of authority and accountability. So doon sa example na yon, sa clear lines of authority and accountability kasi dapat kilala mo yung supervisor mo tapos sa kanya ka lang kukuha ng orders. Yun. Next is principle 2, span of control. Definition: one supervisor manages no more than 3 personnel at any given time. The ideal ratio is 1 supervisor to 5 personnel. So yan, ang ibig sabihin niyan, sa isang supervisor daw, dapat lang daw, ang i-manage niya lang is hindi bababa ng 3 at hindi tataas ng 7. Ang ideal ratio lang daw nun is 1:5. Isang supervisor is 5 na tao. Yun is, pansinin nyo minsan pag nag-checkpoint, di ba? Konti lang sila. Lilima lang sila, ganun. Yun kasi kaya ganun para para ma-manage ng maayos nung team leader yung mga tauhan niya, para ma-monitor niya yung mga ginagawa nila, ganun. Yun yung purpose nun, yung 1:5. Tapos pagka masyado naman kayong marami, kunwari 10, ganun, 20, mahirapan na yung mahirapan na yung supervisor nyo mag-manage sa inyo or yung team leader nyo. Siyempre, ang dami nyo, alangan isa-isahin niya kayong binabantay-bantayan, ganun, di ba? Kaya, ang ideal ratio lang is 1:5. Next is, why this principle exists? In research in organizational management and military command consistently shows that beyond 7 direct reports of a supervisor, effectiveness degrades rapidly. So, dyan naman, ang sabi dyan, ayon daw sa may pag-aaral, ang isang supervisor or team leader, pagka nag-manage daw siya ng 7 pataas, ganun, more than 7, mas nagiging less effective daw yung pagmamanage niya kasi masyado silang marami. Hindi niya nababantayan ng maayos yung mga tauhan niya, ganun. Siyempre, ang dami nyo nga naman eh. Nahihirapan siyang i-maintain yung mga tao niya pagka madami, yun sabi sa pag-aaral. Kaya kaya meron yung principle of span of control na tinatawag para malimit lang yung kanya, yung mga minamanage niya, yung 1:5. Kasi 'di ba yung mga tauhan mo nagre-report sa yon. O kunwari, pag lilima lang yung tauhan mo, di syempre, konti lang yung mga ire-reports, mga ire-report nila sa iyo, 'di ba? Hindi ka mahirapan. Paano pag 10 yung tauhan mo? Hindi ang dami nagre-report sa iyo. Pag mas maraming ganun, mas mahihirapang i-manage yun. Paano? Sabi ni isa, "Sir, ganito, may problema sa ganito. Ganyan din, may problema sa ganyan." Hindi mahirap na yun. May stress ka na dun. Tapos mapapabagal pa yung pagdedesisyon mo kasi makakan ka. Mapre-pressure ka sa dami ng mga report na sa'yo na kwan. Basta yun, sa dami ng report sa'yo. In a crisis environment where decision must be made quickly, situation change constantly, and communication is imperfect, an overloaded supervisor make slower, poorer decision that put lives at risk. Sabi naman dyan, pagka meron daw crisis or emergency ganun, or may problema, that daw ang isang supervisor is mabilis siya mag-decision. Pero pag ang isang supervisor is marami siyang overloaded siya, marami siyang tauhan, bumabagal yung niya, yung pagpa-process niya doon, or bumabagal yung decision making niya. Syempre meron ng crisis, iba't ibang problema yung sinasabi sa'yo, ang dami ng tauhan mo. So doon yung decision mo bumabagal, na-pressure ka, na-overwhelm ka sa may mga reports sa'yo. Syempre, kabi-kabi lang problema yan, di ba? Syempre, mahirapan ka mag-decision dyan. Kaya yun.
The span of control spectrum. Ratio, status, implication. Ratio, 1:3. Status, narrow span. Narrow span, nangyayari kapag minamanage ng isang manager or supervisor ang isang maliit na bilang ng mga directing report, karaniwan sa mga 3 hanggang 6 na subordinate. For example, yung mga internship o new hiring training program. Isang supervisor na nagmamanage sa pangkat na 3 or 4 na intern o mga bagong hire. Ganun. Implication, acceptable in high complex or dangerous situation. Kasi nga yung kayang i-manage ng isang tao or mga 3 or 4 na tao lamang. Ganun. Ratio, 1:5. Ideal span. Ideal span, the perfect span of control or bilang mga direct na sports about manager sa kalahatan ay nag-average ng 15 or 20 ng mga modern at flat na organization. For example, 4 hanggang 7 na person is fun para makakomplikadong trabaho. Pangalawang example, yung mga software engineering. At 10 to 20 para sa mga standardized na tungkulin gaya ng mga call center, ganun. Implication, optimal balance of oversight and efficiency. Ito yung mga pinakamainam na balance na pag-manage at kahusayan. Next, 1:7, yung wide span. Wide span, ito yung kapag minamanage ng isang manager ang mga malaking bilang ng mga direct reports, nagreresulta ito ng mga flat structure or organization na mas kaunting may mga layer management. For example, yung mga call center manager. Isang manager na nagsasagawa ng mga 20 customer service agent. Nagbibigay ng mga standardized script at mga sukatan ng performance kaysa sa oras-oras na pagsaserve, ganun. Application, acceptable maximum approaching the limit of effective supervision. Ito yung mga acceptable na maximum na lumalapit at may limitasyon ng effective manager. Kasi tayo sa exceeding pinangangasiwaan ng isang senior manager. Ang 6, 7 na direktang ulat. Pinapanatili ang high touch monitoring at pangangasiwa. Tayo sa implication. Supervisor in overloaded ICS structure must be expanded. Sabi dito, supervisor is overloaded ICS structure. So dapat mas palawakin pa ito, ganun. Proceed naman tayo sa how is one of control, shape, and ICS structure. When the number of the personnel of tasks exceed of supervisor, if effect is one of control, the ICS expands new supervisory position are incident shirts, the structure contract supervisory position and deactivate to maintain efficiency. C. Sabi dito, through the incident command system, ICS, ay nagme-maintain ng isang effective span of control, karaniwan sa mga 1-3 hanggang sa 1-7, through dynamic na pangpapalawakan ng mga responsibility sa pag-manage habang dumadami ang mga gawain na nagde-deactivate ng mga ito. At the same time, bumababa din ng incident. Ganun. Proceed tayo sa student insight. Span of control is why large crisis responses look like complex organizational charts. A major incident involving 500 personnel cannot be managed by one person giving order to 500 officers. The ICS creates layers of supervision, each layer managing of group 3-7 so that every person has the supervisor and every supervisor has the manageable team. Dito ang kanilang insight ay bawat isang supervisor na panahon ng sakuna, crisis, incident ay dapat may hawak lamang silang 3 o hanggang 7 na tao para maging epektibong pagtatrabaho. Mga conflict chart. Halimbawa, yung mga 500 responders, impossible na isang commander lang ang mag-utos sa lahat. Magkakagulo yung 500 na mga katao na sabay-sabay silang mag-report. Ganun. Proceed na tayo sa criminology application. In a major hostage situation involving 500 responding of jurors, the ICS structure might look like this. One incident commander overseeing 4 section chief. Sabi dito, yung incident commander na nagmamanage ng 4 na sector chief. 4 sector chief ay 4 section chief, each overseeing 3 hanggang 4 branch directors. Sabi dito, yung mga yung 4 na sector chief, ang bawat isa ay nagmamanage ng mga 3 or 4 na branch director. Branch directors each overseeing 3 hanggang 5 units leaders. Units leader each directly supervising 3-7 officers. Sabi dito, yung mga branch ng director na bawat isa yung nagmamanage sa mga 3 hanggang 3 to 5 unit leaders. So bawat isang direct nagmamanage siya ng mga 3 to 7 official, ganun.
Principle 3. Common terminology. Common terminology means that all agencies and responders involved in an incident use the same words, titles, codes, and communication terms. This helps avoid misunderstanding and confusion during agencies. When everyone uses the same language, coordination becomes faster, clearer, and more effective. Example, during flood rescue operation, ang police, firefighters, at medical teams ay pare-parehong gumagamit ng term na evacuation point. Dahil iisa lang ang tawag nila sa safe area, mas mabilis silang magkaintindihan at maiwasan ang kalituhan. Why this principle exists? Different organizations often have their own special terms or jargon. When agencies work together during disaster or emergencies, these differences can create communication problems. Common terminology exists to make sure all agencies understand each other clearly and respond quickly and accurately. Example, sa isang disaster response operation, ang PNP ay maaaring tawagan itong outer perimeter, habang ang AFP naman ay security cordon. Kapag hindi familiar ang responder sa term na ito, pwedeng magkaroon ng misunderstanding kaya mas mabuti na isang common term lang ang gamitin para malinaw sa lahat. What common terminology standardizes? Common terminology standardizes important parts of emergency communication such as position titles, facility name, resource name, status update, and communication procedures. This ensures that every responder understands the same information regardless of their agencies. Imbis na iba-iba ang tawag gaya ng team leader, field head, o commander, lahat na agencies ay gumagamit ng title na incident commander. Dahil dito, alam na agad lahat kung sino ang in-charge sa operation.
Principle 4. Modular Organization. Definition. The ICS structure expands or contracts based on the size, complexity, and needs of the incident, activating only the organizational components that are actually needed, and deactivating them when they are no longer required. For example, if there is a small house fire, only a fire officer and a few firefighters may respond. But if there is a large fire affecting an entire community, additional units such as operation section, medical team, rescue team, traffic control, and logistics personnel. Why this principle exists? A small barricade situation involving 10 officers does not need the same organizational structure as the Marawi siege involving thousands of personnel across multiple agencies. A fixed, rigid structure would be either insufficient for a large incident or unnecessarily bloated for small ones. Modular organization ensures the ICS is always right size for the incident. This principle exists because not all incidents are the same size or complexity. A small incident only needs a few personnel and a simple organization, while a large incident needs many teams, agencies, and sections. If the structure is too small for a big incident, operations may become disorganized, and if the structure is too large for a small incident, resources and manpower may be wasted. That is why modular organization allows the ICS to adjust and use only the needed personnel and sections. How modular organization works in practice. The ICS has 5 major functional sections, but not all 5 need to be activated for every incident. Incident Commander, always activated. Incident Command, always activated, the only mandatory position responsible for overall incident strategy, tactics, and objectives. Command Staff, Safety Officer, Public Info Officer, and Liaison Officer. Operations Section, Field Response. Manage the tactical action to achieve the incident objectives. Example, Law Enforcement Branch, Military Support Branch, Medical Branch, SWAT Division, Negotiation Division, Perimeter Security. Planning Section, Situation Analysis. Collects, evaluates, and displays incident situation intelligence, maintaining documentation and projecting future needs. Logistics Section, Resources and Supports. Provides resources, services, and support such as communication, medical support for responders, and facilities to meet incident needs. And last, Finance Administration Section. Costs and Documentation. Tracks all incident costs, manage vendor contracts, timekeeping, and documentation required for cost reimbursement. Scalability examples. Incident size. Small barricade, 10 officers. The ICS components activated. Incident Commander plus Operations section only. Small incident example, barricaded subject requiring 10 officers. Components activated. Incident Commander plus Operations section only. The Incident Commander handles command functions and oversees direct tactical actions. Other sections are not needed as the low number of respondents falls within a manageable span of control. Medium hostage situation, 50 officers, 3 agencies. ICS components activated. IC plus operations plus logistics plus planning. Medium incident example, hostage situation involving 50 officers across 3 agencies. Components activated. IC plus operations plus logistics plus planning. As the operation scales, command delegates tactical execution to operations resource, procurement to logistic and tactical mapping, or forecasting to planning. A unified command may also be formed to coordinate efforts across different law enforcement or municipal agencies. And large terrorist attack. 500 personnel, national response. ICS components activated. All 5 sections plus full command staff plus multiple branches and divisions. Large incident example, terrorist attack requiring 500 personnel and national level response. Components activated, all 5 sections plus full command staff plus multiple branches and divisions. The full scalability is reached. The IC activates all general staff and command staff position. Example, safety officer, public information officer. Due to the massive span of control, operations will break down into multiple branches, divisions, and groups, while finance administrations handles complex resource tracking and cost analysis.
Student insight. Modular organization is what makes the ICS universally applicable from a single building barricade situation to a multi-city disaster response. The same framework scales up and down based on what the situation demands. We never over-organize a small incident or under-organize a large one. Dito naman sa modular organization is ang dahilan kung bakit flexible daw yung ICS kahit gaano kaliit. Halimbawa sa barricade sa isang building or multi-city disaster. Kaya mag-adjust ng framework, hindi mo kailangan na mag-over-organize kung maliit lang ang incident. Pero handa itong lumaki o mag-scale up kung kailangan ng mas maraming tao. Comprehensive resource management. All personnel equipment, facilities, and supplies involved in the incident response are tracked, managed, and accounted for at all times through a centralized resource management system. Dito naman sa comprehensive resource management, ito yung definition ng mas maayos na paghawak ng gamit. Lahat ng personnel, equipment, at supplies ay dapat na nakatrack at accounted. Sa madaling salita, dapat may central system na nakakaalam kung saan ang bawat tao para walang nawawala o nasasayang. Why this principle exists? In large crisis responses, hundreds of personnel and pieces of equipment from dozens of agencies converge on the scene. Without systematic resource management, critical resources get lost, double deployed, or forgotten, while urgent needs go unmet because no one knows what is available and where. Bakit nga ba nag-exist yung principle na to? Kasi sa malalaking crisis galing sa iba't ibang agency, ang mga tao at equipment, kapag walang system, magkakagulo. May mga gamit na mawala, may mga team na double deployed, at may mga urgent needs na hindi natutugunan kasi hindi alam kung sino yung available. What comprehensive resource management tracks? Personnel who is deployed, where they are, what their assignment is, and their current status. Dito sa personnel, ito yung pinaka-importante kasi kailangan malaman kung nasa ng bawat tao at kung ano yung status nila kasi Kung may sumabog o gumuho sa isang area, dapat alam ng command center kung sino ang mga responders and ang nandoon para mailigtas sila agad. Vehicles and equipment, patrol cars. SWAT, vehicles, negotiation, equipment and medical supplies. Dito is iwas sayang or efficiency. Binabantayan yung mga sasakyan at gamit para maiwasan yung double deployment. Halimbawa, hindi pwedeng dalawang team ang ipadala sa isang maliit na sunog habang walang napupunta sa kabilang kalsada na kailangan din ng tulong. It's about putting the right resource in the right place. Facilities, command posts, staging areas, medical triage points, evacuation centers. Dito sa medical, kung hindi mo alam ang hospital capacity, baka magpadala ka ng pasyente sa hospital na puno na pala. Communications naman, kung walang control sa frequencies, magkakapatong-patong yung boses sa radyo at walang magkakaintindihan. In short, binabantayan sila para masiguradong organized, pabilis at ligtas ang pagtulong sa mga victim. Kapag blind and command sa mga resources na ito, malaki ang chance na pumalpak ang buong missions.